Cade Cunningham has missed the last 2 games for the Detroit Pistons and will miss at least the next 3 games with a shin injury. But there is a little bit of a silver lining. Obviously, we want Cade back healthy. We don't want him hurt. But since he is, there is a little bit of a silver lining to look at here. We'll talk about that in today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. And if you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons and hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to support the podcast, or you can leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. And today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. So the Detroit Pistons played 2 games over this past weekend, one against the New York Knicks and one against the Boston Celtics. They've lost 3 in a row, dating back to the 9th. They've played Boston twice. And Cade played in the game against Boston on the 9th. It was one of his worst games of his career. And after that, it was reported that he may miss the next game. And he ended up missing the game against the New York Knicks. He missed the game against the Boston Celtics. And then we were told that he's going to miss at least the next 3 games with a shin injury. So obviously that's not, we don't want Cade to be, no, obviously no one wants Cade hurt. It sucks that he's hurt. We want him on the floor 100% out there balling for the Pistons. But if he is hurt, if he's going to be hurt, instead of sitting around and being mad about him being hurt, you can look at some silver linings. I do think there are some silver lines to take away during his absence and some things to watch for. Obviously, I think Dwayne Casey said something a little bit about how maybe this was dating back to a little bit earlier in the season with Cade's injuries. I know some people are speculating whether that has something to do with some of his inconsistency shooting-wise from beyond the arc. I'm not going to go that way. Who knows if it is. If it is, it is. If it didn't, it didn't. We'll see when he comes back healthy, I guess. But I'm not going to go too far into that because no one's going to know. So I'm not going to really talk about that. But anyways, like I said, I do think there's some silver linings I want to talk about. And the very first one is the pairing of Killian Hayes and Jaden Ivey. Now, we'll talk about Killian Hayes and how he's played the last 3 games in the second segment. But you're now going to get a lineup with Cade out, I should say, with Killian and Jaden Ivey, where Jaden Ivey is probably going to have more freedom within the offense. He's going to be leading the offense a little bit more. And he's going to be playing with a guy who, while he's being more aggressive, he's still at the core, more of a playmaker and guy who's going to set up the offense. So they're now going to look at Jaden Ivey while Cade's out as really their main guy to go out there and score and create opportunities for himself at the rim and for other guys at the rim. And I thought he did a really good job of this in their last game against the Boston Celtics. He had 26 points, a career high, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He did have 4 turnovers, and a lot of those turnovers late for him were just really lackadaisical with Marcus Smart guarding him. It wasn't even like he forced a pass or anything. He would go to the rim and then pull it back out and just really sloppy with it. And Marcus Smart would just come up and knock it loose. That's something you just can't do, especially against the defensive player of the year. You got to know better. But overall in that last game, he played really well. He was very aggressive. He shot 8 of 15 from the floor. He made 4 of 6 of his 3-pointers. He got to the free throw line 6 times. So I think for Jaden Ivey, and it's something that really I've said on the podcast a few times I'm going to be watching for with Cade and Jaden Ivey, is that I feel like they're probably going to need to be staggered during their time together, because both of them, I feel like, need the ball in their hands to really get to where their ceiling is. And yes, they can work together, but that doesn't mean they don't each need their own time. So now with Cade being out, again, we don't want Cade to be hurt. I just want to say that again, because I don't want people trying to take this the wrong way at all. But if he is going to be out, now you're going to get Ivey to have a higher usage rate. He's going to be able to take the offense by the horn and really, take it over himself. So I'm really interested in seeing how that goes for him. I'm interested to see how defenses play him as the primary ball handler, which I think, there's split touches between him and Killian Hayes, but I really think defense is probably going to focus most, obviously, on Jaden Ivey being the main guy on offense. So I'm interested to see how he responds to that. Does he get sped up? Yeah, I think while he's had a few high turnover games, I actually think overall he's done a good job of not getting sped up too much. There has been times where I feel like he's obviously went a little too quick and forced some things and turned the ball over. But I don't think it's happened as much as I thought it was going to happen. I thought in the offseason that was going to be one of his biggest weaknesses was consistently getting sped up and going too fast and turning the ball over, taking bad shots. And again, it has happened a few times, but I actually think he's done a really good job of that. I think he's done a much better job than I think he would have done. So now with Cade out, and defenses probably aren't going to be respecting Killian that much as the other guard in the lineup, is he now going to see some of those struggles start to get elevated a little bit with the defenses focusing so much on him? That's another thing I'll be looking forward to. But really, man, that with Cade out, it obviously sucks, man. We want to see Cade fully healthy. We want to see him on the floor, man. We want to see him play well. We want to see him go out there and dominate, averages 21, 6, and 6. We want to see him push through and develop that three ball. We want to see him go through the ups and downs together. Like, we want to see all this stuff happen. So it sucks that Cade, again, it seems like for the second straight year, he's going to have an injury at the beginning of the year that's going to hamper him. And I don't know how long it's going to take him to get back to full strength or whatever. I know last year it took a while for him to really get to 100%. So I don't know how much this injury is going to bother him. So that sucks. But I just want to give you guys, instead of us sitting around being mad about him and being mad about him getting hurt and watching the games with like a sad face and be like, oh, I wish Cade was here. Find some other things to watch for. I think Jaden Ivey getting more minutes, him getting more usage, and him being able to see how the offense looks with him leading it, how that goes. And for him to do that, by the way, this past game against Boston, this wasn't against the OKC Thunder or a terrible basketball team. This is against the Boston Celtics, a really damn good defensive team, a team that was just in the championship this past season. And he went out there. I thought he played a hell of a game. Him and Killian Hayes. I thought they played a tremendous game. And I really think they fit together. They fit together nice. So I think in the future, we've been seeing Cade get staggered with Killian. You see Cade and Killian play, and then Killian will come out for Ivey. That's what they've been doing. I really think that you could do it either way moving forward based on what we've seen the last 3 games from Killian Hayes. We'll obviously talk about that a little bit later. But I think having Killian Hayes, the way the type of player he is and the things he can do when he's playing well, you can really play him with either Ivey or Cade. So you don't have to really stick to a specific stagger lineup if you feel, or a staggered rotation. You can play him with Ivey, you can play him with Cade. I think you can do either or. So yeah, I'm just really interested to see that, man. And obviously we hope that Cade gets back fully healthy as soon as possible. And it's only the next 3 games that he has to miss. Hopefully it's no more games after that, and this shin isn't a reoccurring issue with him. But let me know in the comment section down below what you guys will be watching for now that Cade's out. Instead of sitting around all sad, what is it that you guys will be watching for that you think wouldn't happen while Cade's out? It's like, I don't know, maybe Corey Joseph is one of you guys' favorite player or something. I don't know. Let me know what you guys were looking forward to while Cade's out in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. When we come back, my guy Killian Hayes has had one of the best, if not the best, 3-game stretches of his career. He looks like a completely different player. And after the first game that started this, he came after the game and we talked about on the podcast. He said, this is what I needed. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. This was great for me. I'm not turning back now. And after that game, we said, let's see if he's telling the truth. He could just be talking. We love to hear it, but you have to actually show us. And it looks like it's happening. He looks like a completely different player. I can't wait to talk about this in the upcoming segment. But first, I got to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. And that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. And it's super easy to do. You just add your job in the purple hiring hashtag frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you are indeed hiring. Simple tools like screening questionings make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and then obviously hire. It's why small businesses rank LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the quality candidates that you want to talk to faster and easier. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Again, this is why small businesses rank LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality candidates. So check out linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. Again, that's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. So, Cade Cunningham is going to be out for the next 3 games. And I was interested to see who Dwayne Casey would start in place of him. I thought it was going to be Corey Joseph. It seems like he's always wanted to start Corey Joseph over Killian Hayes because he wants Killian Hayes to stay with the second unit. He doesn't want to mess anything up, etc., all that stuff. However, he surprised the hell out of me, and he started Killian Hayes against the Boston Celtics on Saturday, and it was a great result. Killian played extremely well on Sunday against the Boston Celtics, and over the last 3 games, Killian is playing exceptionally well, and this is the type of player that everyone wanted to see moving into the season. This is the type of player that everyone wanted to see develop during the season. And this is the type of player that you can have in your team long-term. Over the last 3 games, Killian Hayes is averaging 14 points a game, 5 assists a game, damn near 5 rebounds a game, 1.3 steals a game. He's shooting 44% from the field, 35% from deep, and 100% from the free throw line. This is the player that everyone's wanted to see. This is the player that I wanted to see. This is the player that I believed we were going to see this upcoming season. And to be honest, this was the player we saw in preseason. The efficiency wasn't there as much, but the player we saw in preseason, like we talked about on the podcast, the player we saw in preseason was a different player than we saw in the first 11 games. The guy we saw in preseason was a dude who was extremely confident, a dude who was extremely aggressive and knew this was his year and that he had to step up and this is where he had to show up. This is it. This is his final showcase. The first 2 years hasn't gone the way he wanted to go. A lot of injuries came, a lot of ups and downs, majority downs. He talked about that. And he talked like a much more confident player leading up to preseason. We talked about it on the podcast. And he backed it up in the preseason. So when the first 11 games happened, and after the first game when he went 1 of 9, after that his confidence just shattered. It was really confusing and honestly tough to for someone like me. I'm assuming more Pistons fans too. It's just so tough to watch that because it looked like he had turned a corner through preseason mentally, and then through the first 11 games he just went to hell, and he looked scared to play out there. But then 3 games ago against the Boston Celtics, he had his best game of the season. Well, actually, I think this last game might have been his best game. But the first game against Boston on the 9th, he had 16 points of 7 of 12 shooting, 1 of 2 from the field or from the deep. He got to the free throw line once. He played a really, really good game. And he played extremely aggressive. And he played extremely confident. And I don't know. Listen, I think Killian Hayes might be the only player I'm sure there's plenty of other players that have happened. But the player that I've watched where it literally feels like everything is just simply tied to confidence and aggressiveness. Like he has the talent. He has the skill. And when he is aggressive, like right aggressive, like there was times in the first 11 games where you could see that he was feeling the pressure. It was like, listen, I have to do something. And he would just go be aggressive. That led to like a shot that he has no chance of making. That was a bad aggressiveness. That's just forcing it to force it. These past 3 games, we've seen him ISO. The first game against the Celtics, we saw him ISO Jason Tatum, hit a pull-up midi. Then we saw him ISO Marcus Smart, the defensive player of the year, hit a pull-up midi. We've seen him drive to the basket and finish over people. We've seen him drive to the basket and use his body to finish over Marcus Smart. We've seen him drive to the basket and draw fouls. This is the player that we thought we were going to see this year. And it's completely different than anything. Like, this is a completely different player than the first 11 games. If you showed someone a clip from the first 11 games and then a clip from someone in the last 3 games, they'd be like, there's no way that must be a twin because there's no way that's the same dude. So, listen, I think that Dwayne Casey did the right thing. I know it's a big conversation. We've had it on the podcast about what do you do with Killian Hayes? Is 11 games enough for you to just pull the cord and send him to the G League? And Dwayne Casey did the right thing, and that's why he's a head coach, and I'm not. That's why he's the head coach, and you're not. All you guys listening. Because he's going to know what the right thing to do is majority of the time with players that he spends more time around. We can criticize, we can give our own opinions, and we will see it play out and see if we are right. But it seems like Dwayne Casey played it right. He let him fight through his struggles. He let him see those struggles firsthand, see it in his face, get all the criticism and all the just anger directed towards him from fans. I'm sure teammates were probably giving it to him too. I'm sure he felt the anger from teammates and disappointment. But instead of giving him an out and sending him to the G League, Dwayne Casey made him go through that and basically told him, listen, you got to pull yourself out of this, Killian. You're 21 years old, third-year player. This is your year. I'm not going to bail you out. I'm going to continue to put you out there, and you got to get yourself out of this. And 3 games ago, he did. Killian came out after the game and said, I know this is what I needed to get myself out of this. I know what I need to do. I'm going to continue to do it now, and I plan on playing this way for the rest of my career. He said all these things. And ever since then, it's only been 3 games, incredibly small sample size. But this is what you wanted to see. It's a completely different player. I think this right here will let you know that this is just completely, it's a new person. The last 3 games, he's averaging 12.7 field goal attempts a game. He's damn near shooting 13 times a game. When the hell did we ever see Killian Hayes shoot over 10 times? Actually, I can tell you right now, he didn't shoot over 10 times in a singular game once this season. Once. Never once did he get over 10 attempts. But the last 3 games, he's done 12, 12, 14. He's going out there. He's being aggressive. He's getting his shot. He's looking to ISO a lot more. It's shocking to me to see him do it. He's finding that mid-range pull-up that it looks so smooth, and he's going to it consistently. It looks good. It looks good. And listen, as a Killian guy, it's been incredibly fun to watch. It's been incredibly fun to watch. I'm so happy to see him pull himself out of it. I really hope this lasts for the rest of the year. And what I want to point out that you need to see last for the rest of the year, it's not him shooting 45% from the field. It's not him shooting 35% from the field, or from deep, I should say, and having really good splits and being really efficient from the floor. Because he's going to have a game soon. He's probably going to have a game, I don't know, the next 5 games, where he probably shoots 30% from the field. But that's not what you need to be looking for. That's not what we need to be looking for consistency. Because like I've been telling you guys all year, the best way to get to consistent, good production, to get to consistent, good efficiency is by playing the same way, whether you're missing or you're making shots, whether you're struggling or whether you're on fire. You need to play the exact same way every single time. You can't let a few missed shots shatter your confidence and shatter the way you're going to play. So if Killian comes out in another game soon and shoots, I don't know, 2 of 10, 3 of 10 from the field, so be it. But if those 10 shots are coming the exact same way that these last 3 games they're coming from, nice pull-up jump shots, attacking the rim and getting all the way to the rim, trying to draw fouls, if it's coming from that, you take it every time. I think the really cool thing is too, and I've seen it from you guys in the comment section, because I know we didn't have a podcast the last 3 days, because I didn't record one on Friday. But over the last 4 days, a lot of you guys were commenting on a lot of YouTube videos talking about some of the things that had happened over the weekend. A lot of you guys DM'd me. A lot of you guys were tweeting at me. I saw it from the Pistons community and all my listeners, is that when Killian's making shots and he's being aggressive, that and now allows you guys and allows the fans to appreciate all the other things he does so well. Like this past game against the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum had 43 points. The Pistons tried every person on him but their best perimeter defender in Killian Hayes. And then they put Killian Hayes on him in the 4th quarter, and he had him in lock and key. He was frustrating the hell out of Jason Tatum to a point where Jason Tatum got an offensive foul for pushing Killian off of him because Killian was playing so well. And guess what? Everyone was loving it. Everyone was talking about it. Why? Because Killian was making shots. So instead of having to sit there and be like, yeah, he plays good defense, but he can't make shots. He's not playing aggressive. Yeah, he makes a few good passes, but we know he can do that. We need to see him be aggressive. When he does those, when he is aggressive and he's looking to score like he's been, and he's playing that way, that makes his other things shine even brighter and makes everybody appreciate him more for what he does on the other side of the floor. So listen, man, I've loved it. You guys can tell I've loved it. I've been waiting all season for it, man. It got tough, man. It did. It got really tough. I couldn't imagine it going worse for him the first 11 games. But maybe that's what he needed. To be honest, maybe he looks back on that, and maybe we look back on it and say that's what he needed. He needed to reach the low of lows and have himself pull him out. Not Dwayne Casey, not Troy Weaver, not shipping him to another team, not shipping him to the G League. Make him go out there and pull himself out of this. Maybe that's what needed to happen, and maybe that's what's going to be the change, not only to his season, but maybe Killian Hayes' career. So it's been 3 games, completely different player. Love what I'm seeing. If he continues playing like this, man, I'm really excited for the season. I'm really excited. And I think if he continues to play like this, by the way, this is something we'll talk about in a future podcast. But if he's going to be able to make shots and be aggressive, take guys to the rim, hit pull-ups and stuff, you're going to see a lot of three-guard lineups because he's their best perimeter defender, and they need that desperately. I saw a lot of you guys tweeting at me talking about their defense, how they need some defense in the starting lineup. But the problem is who else are you going to sub in? Killian's the one you would sub in, but he was so bad offensively, Dwayne Casey couldn't do it. If he's able to do this now, you're going to see a lot of three-guard lineups with Cade, Ivey, and Killian's going to be guarding the best perimeter guy on the other team. And as long as he's able to hit shots, it'll work beautifully. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm super excited. I've had a lot of fun watching the last 3 games because of Killian Hayes, man. I've had a lot of fun. So let me know what you guys think about what you've seen from him in these last 3 games. It's only been, again, 3 games, but it hasn't been enough to make you guys start to consider maybe he's turning his season around. Are you guys already convinced that he's turning his season around? That's what he needed. Let me know what your guys' overall thoughts are now on Killian Hayes at this point in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kooky Hill. Now, when we come back, I want to talk about some of the other players, some of the other young guys who are now going to be playing without Cade Cunningham and are going to be asked to step up, and what we've seen from them over the last 3 games since we didn't record a podcast on Friday, like Saddiq Bey, like Isaiah Stewart. Now Marvin Bagley's returned. We'll talk a little bit about that. Alec Burks is coming back. We'll talk about all that when we come back. But first, I got to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, BetOnline.net. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis this season. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional or amateur sports league out there. From football to basketball to soccer to esports, we've got it all at BetOnline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those over at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about their trends and action today. If you head over to BetOnline.net right now, you will see, if you click on the basketball section, you'll see favorites for MVP, the NBA championship, 6th man of the year, rookie of the year, most improved player of the year, coach of the year, all that stuff you can already see over there and see the odds and who is the odds on favorite at this point in the season over at BetOnline.net. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about their trends and action today. BetOnline, where the game starts. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. So with Cade Cunningham out, we talked about 2 guys that are going to have to step up and 2 guys who are going to get a lot of minutes. They're going to get Killian Hayes, I should say, is going to get a lot more starts. Ivey and Killian are going to be the guys that are going to have to make up for his production, obviously, in the backcourt. But there's now some other guys as well they're going to need to step up and play better. And the first one we're going to mention is Saddiq Bey. Now, we've talked about Saddiq Bey a little bit with what I'm starting to realize about Saddiq Bey. And I'm now of the opinion. I know a lot of people are going to be of the opinion of this. I've seen some people start to realize this. But obviously, if you want to watch it play out a little bit more, that you perfectly fine to do that. Makes sense. I think since Saddiq's rookie season, after his rookie season, everyone paying him is a 3-and-D player. That's what his role in the league is going to be. He's going to be a great 3-point shooter, and he's going to have to come around on defense. That's what he's going to be. However, I think since his rookie season, he's shown that's not the type of player he's going to be in the NBA. Everyone has to take time to try to find what their role is going to be in the NBA. What are you going to be in the NBA? Not everyone's going to be a superstar in the NBA. What is the role that you're going to carve out? What is the skills that you're carving out that's going to make you stick in the NBA? What's special about you? And I think, obviously, young players, it takes a minute to figure out what it is that they have to carve out. I think we're seeing in lifetime over the past year and a half what it is that Saddiq Bey is carving himself into. And I don't think no longer it's a 3-and-D player. Definitely not a defensive player. And I don't think it's a pure sharpshooter. Do I think he's a trash shooter? Do I think he's as bad a shooter as he's been this year, the 30%? No, I don't think he's a trash shooter, but I don't think he's a sharpshooter. I don't believe that he's a marksman. I think he's a scorer. I think that's what he's carving himself into. He's a guy who's really good at getting to the rim and drawing fouls. He improved drastically at the rim towards the end of last season. For the last 50 or some games, he improved drastically at drawing free throws, but his 3-point shooting has slowly fallen, which is fine for him. That's fine. But I think people just need to recognize what they need to look for from Saddiq now. I just don't think that he's a sharpshooter. I think he's developed as something else, and that's what he's trying to carve himself into. The reason why I bring him up, though, is that while I believe that, and I think he's going to be different than what people thought he was going to be after his rookie season, which is just a 3-and-D type of guy. I've said it before on the podcast recently. I think he's going to be a 6-man of the year guy in the future. I think he's a guy who you don't put in the starting lineup for defense. You don't put him in the starting lineup to be the main spacer, but you put him as your 6-man. 6 men are usually the guys you just ask, hey, come in and get us buckets. We need buckets. We don't need anything else. We need buckets. And I think Saddiq Bey can do that, and he can do it really well and pretty efficiently because of how well he gets to the free throw line. So I think he can actually win a 6-man of the year in the future. However, anyways, I'm getting off topic a little bit. The reason why I bring up Saddiq Bey of guys that need to step up is why I believe that stuff. 30% from deep is unacceptable. He's not, at least I don't think he's that bad of a shooter. But he has not been a very good shooter for the past year and a half. He's been a below average 3-point shooter. And with Cade Cunningham out, they need him to provide some spacing. Because while Killian Hayes has had a really good 3 games, most of his career would suggest he's not going to shoot 35% from the field or from deep on like 5 attempts a game like he's doing over the last 3 games. That's probably going to come down a little bit soon. So you need the other guys who are supposed to be spacing the floor for you to start hitting some shots. Bojan's hitting some shots. And even Isaiah Stewart, we'll talk about him next. But he's starting to do a little bit better at hitting some shots. Saddiq Bey has to bring his A game. I love the fact that he's averaging 5 free throws a game. I absolutely love the fact that he's drawing fouls. I absolutely love the fact that he's getting to the rim. I absolutely love the fact that he's finishing around the rim. And it's made me enjoy Saddiq so much more. You guys know that I wasn't always the biggest fan of Saddiq. But now looking at Saddiq in this different way, looking at him as not like before I was trying to fit him into, I feel like, pigeonhole him into something he's not. I was trying to fit him into this role of he needs to be a 3-and-D type of player. But now that I'm looking at him as a guy who just comes in and gets you buckets, he can lead a bench unit and be the main offensive guy because he can do all this other stuff, it's made me enjoy watching him so much more because he's getting to the free throw line 5 times a game. He's shooting 91% from the free throw line. He's shooting 52%, 53% on all 2-pointers. His finishing around the rim has gotten so much better with both hands. Like, it's so much fun and so much more, and there's so much more enjoyment in watching Saddiq now. But either way, I'm getting a little bit too much. I'm giving Saddiq a lot of credit here. My point of bringing him up again was because he has to start hitting some outside shots. But maybe with how much I've been critical of him over the past, maybe this is fine for me to go out on a rant like this, praising him like this. But yeah, either way, Saddiq, 30% from deep. You're a better shooter than that, my guy. You know that. We all know that. You got to shoot a little bit better from beyond the arc. Combine that with how you're playing at the rim, you'd be really valuable, man. They especially need it while Cade's out. But anyways, let's move on to Isaiah Stewart now. Isaiah Stewart, another guy that you guys know I'm not just like the biggest stan of, but he's been making some shots. He has been. He's been making the shots. So over the past 4 games, he's shooting 43% from deep on 3.5 attempts. If you move it back to the last 6 games, he's shooting 44% on 3 attempts. And then if you move it back to 8 games, he's shooting 40% from beyond the arc. So if you take out, and I don't want to just take out, pick and choosing sample sizes can be rough. That's why even though I was praising Killian Hayes the entire time, you guys know I'm happy about that. I wanted to make sure I told you guys at the end. Obviously, it's a small sample size. We need to see it continue. But really, if you just take out the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games of the season, and you do the next 9 games, Stu's shooting 40% from deep on 3.3 attempts. Now, I love seeing that for him. I love seeing that for Stu. And he's going to need to continue to hit outside shots at that clip, especially with Cade out. But even when Cade's back in the lineup, they still need him to continue to hit some shots. And I don't know. For the past 9 games, he's been doing it. Do I think he's going to hit 40% of his threes moving forward? No, I don't think he's going to be a 40% 3-point shooter. He'd be like the best shooting big man in all of basketball if he did that. And the thing with Stu is you're probably going to see this happen. This is probably what he's going to be for the rest of the year, which is completely fine. You have games where he shoots 2 of 5, 2 of 5, and then you'll have a 3-game stretch like in between November 2nd and November 7th when he goes 0 of 2, 2 of 3, 1 of 4, 1 of 2, and he's going to have uneven games. He's going to have games when he hits like 3, and then he's going to have games when he hits 0 of 4. It's going to even out in the grand scheme of things, but overall, I think he's done a good job of hitting his shots the last few, or going really back to the past 9 games. I want to give him a lot of credit. If he can continue to do that, that adds a different dimension for him, obviously, and should help the offense. I don't think that no defense is still going to respect him. They're still going to give him that shot. But while the defense is going to call it a W, the Pistons will also call it the W if he's going to continue to hit 40% of his shots. You feel what I'm saying? The defense will be like, oh, yeah, Stu taking a 3, we'll live with it every single time. If Stu's going to make 2 out of 5 of those, though, heck, maybe, 3 out of 6, 3 out of 7 out of those, the Pistons will eventually be like, okay, we'll take that too. So if you're going to keep giving it to us, we'll take it. So I wanted to give Isaiah Stewart a lot of credit. We haven't talked about him a lot on the podcast. He still struggles a little bit around the rim, obviously. He still, doesn't have the greatest hands. He has his deficiencies. But the main thing about Stu was the outside shot. That's what everyone talked about all year. And for the past 9 games, he's shooting 40% on 3.3 attempts a game. Not insane volume, but making 40% on at least 3 attempts, that's really damn good. So you want to give it up to Isaiah Stewart, and he's definitely coming along. We'll see how it continues to move on moving forward, but he's doing a really nice job. So, and also real quick before we wrap up the podcast, I love the fact that Jaden Ivey's been helping him on the boards, man. He's been out there, even when he doesn't get a board, actually added to his stat sheet. You guys watching, you guys know Jaden Ivey's been out there jumping with everybody, trying to knock the ball loose. He's hustling, and just simply hustling and trying helps Isaiah Stewart on the boards when you have just a small lineup out there. So Marvin Bagley's back. You'll probably see the 2 big man lineup come around soon when Marvin Bagley eventually is healthy. I don't know if they'll pick Bagley or Duren to start with Stu. What I do know is that the Duren Bagley lineups need to stop immediately. But I'm really interested to see this team, especially when they're really fully healthy. I know they're going to be without Cade the next 3 games, but even without Cade, having Burks and Bagley back, that should even stuff out. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes the next 3 games without Cade. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, to be honest. Killian and Ivey are going to get a lot of running away, a lot of leeway to do stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Let me know how you guys are feeling about the last 3 games, what we talked about on the podcast, in the comment section down below or over on Twitter @KukaHill, because that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on our podcast platforms. You guys know the deal. Hit that YouTube channel up, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform all of you guys are listening to this on. I really do appreciate all of y'all for listening. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Enjoy the game tonight. Have fun. Stay safe. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.